Picture this. A young quarterback, third string for the Atlanta Falcons, traded away after throwing only 4 passes in his rookie year. This was the start of Brett Favre's journey to becoming one of the most iconic players in NFL history. From barely seeing the field in his first season to becoming a 3-time MVP and Super Bowl champion, Favre's career was nothing short of remarkable. His rise from near washout to Hall of Famer is a story that captures the essence of perseverance and skill in professional football. Brett Favre's NFL career started with a bang, but it was not the kind he'd hoped for. His first regular season pass was an interception returned for a score. This happened in a Week 11 game against the Washington Redskins, and it set the tone for Favre's disappointing rookie season with the Atlanta Falcons. Favre spent most of the year warming the bench, barely seeing any playing time. The Falcons didn't seem to have much use for him beyond practice sessions. Favre was buried on the depth chart, and it didn't look like he'd be climbing out anytime soon. The doubts and criticism came from all directions, even from his own head coach, Jerry Glanville, the Falcons coach at the time. Didn't mince words about Favre's chances of playing. He famously said it would take a plane crash for him to get into the game. That's not exactly a vote of confidence from the guy calling the shots, but Favre's fortunes were about to change. On February 11th, 1992, the Green Bay Packers general manager Ron Wolf made a bold move. He traded a first-round pick to the Falcons for Favre. Now, trading a first-rounder for a guy who'd barely played might seem crazy, but Wolf saw something in Favre that others had missed. That trade almost fell through though. During Favre's physical with the Packers, doctors diagnosed him with a hip condition that could have ended his career. Wolf, however, decided to push through with the trade, betting big on Favre's potential. At first, it looked like Wolf might have made a mistake. Favre started out as a backup in Green Bay, just like he'd been in Atlanta. But unlike in Atlanta, Favre was about to get his shot. And when that chance came, he made the most of it. Favre's debut for the Packers was a mix of rookie moments and flashes of potential. He showed the grit and gunslinger mentality that would define his career. That game was a turning point. Favre went from being a backup with a questionable future to the Packers' new hope at quarterback. But Favre's journey from backup to starter was just the beginning. That debut game was only a taste of what he'd bring to the NFL over the next 2 decades. The kid who couldn't get off the bench in Atlanta was about to become one of the most durable, prolific, and exciting quarterbacks the league had ever seen. Favre's journey in the NFL was about to test the limits of human endurance and redefine toughness. Most quarterbacks miss a game or 2 each season due to injuries. The constant hits, the pressure, the physical toll of playing week after week. It all adds up, but Favre was different. His reputation for toughness started in college. In 1990, while playing for Southern Miss, Favre was in a car wreck that nearly killed him. Doctors removed 30 inches of his small intestine. Just 8 weeks later, he was back on the field, leading Southern Miss to a comeback win over Alabama. Throughout his time in the NFL, Favre played through injuries that would have benched most players. Broken bones, sprains, bruises, you name it. Favre played through it. He even took the field after suffering a concussion. The guy was like a punching bag that wouldn't stay down. What's even more impressive is that Favre didn't just play through these injuries, he excelled. From 1992 to 2010, Favre started an incredible 297 consecutive regular season games. Add in the playoffs, and that streak goes up to 321 games. While other teams were constantly switching up their quarterbacks, the Packers could always count on number 4 to be under center. Favre's durability wasn't just about showing up, it was about winning. All those games he played through pain. He was out there making plays, leading comebacks, and building his legacy as one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. During his Iron Man streak, 238 other quarterbacks started games in the NFL. 17 of those were guys who had been Favre's backups at one point. In his entire career, Favre only failed to finish a game due to injury 8 times. 8 times in nearly 2 decades of playing one of the toughest positions in sports. That's not luck, that's legendary toughness. Favre's Iron Man streak became a source of pride for the Packers and a headache for their rivals. His teammates knew they could always count on him to lead the charge. Opposing teams knew that no matter how hard they hit him, Favre would get back up. By the time Favre's streak ended in 2010, he had set an NFL record that might never be broken. Those 297 consecutive starts are a testament to his unmatched toughness and love for the game. Favre himself has said that of all his accomplishments, this is the one he's most proud of. His durability wasn't just impressive, it was the foundation that his entire Hall of Fame career was built on. Favre's toughness got him on the field, but it was his arm that made him a legend. In his first full season as a starter, Favre threw for more touchdowns than Joe Montana ever did in a single year. But how did a guy known for taking risks become one of the most dominant quarterbacks in NFL history? The answer lies in Favre's rapid ascent to elite quarterback status. In 1995, his first full season as the Packers starter, Favre lit up the NFL. He threw for 4,413 yards and 38 touchdowns, posting a career-high passer rating of 99.5. This performance was historic, helping the Packers achieve their best record in nearly 3 decades and propelling them all the way to the NFC Championship game. Favre's playing style was unlike anything the NFL had seen before. While most quarterbacks were taught to play it safe, make smart decisions, and protect the ball, Favre took the opposite approach. He wasn't afraid to thread the needle on tight passes or launch the ball downfield into double coverage. This approach led to some spectacular plays and frustrating turnovers. But it also made Favre one of the most exciting players to watch in NFL history. From 1995 to 1997, Favre put together a run of dominance that's still unmatched in NFL history. He became the first and only quarterback to win 3 consecutive MVP awards. During this stretch, Favre consistently threw for over 3,800 yards and 35 touchdowns each season, cementing his status as one of the league's elite quarterbacks. But individual accolades weren't enough for Favre. His ultimate goal was to bring a championship back to Green Bay, and in the 1996 season, he got his chance. Favre led the Packers to Super Bowl 31, where he put on a show for the ages. He completed 14 of 27 passes for 246 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 54-yard bomb to Andre Rison and an 81-yard strike to Antonio Freeman that set a Super Bowl record at the time. When the final whistle blew, Favre and the Packers were world champions. Favre's Super Bowl performance was a perfect encapsulation of his career. He made big plays when it mattered most, took risks that paid off, and led his team to victory on the biggest stage in football. It was the culmination of his journey from bench warmer to NFL icon, a journey that saw him become one of the most prolific passers in NFL history. But even after reaching the pinnacle of the sport, Favre's story was far from over. His Iron Man streak continued, his stats kept piling up, and his legend only grew. Favre had gone from a risky trade to the face of a franchise, from a quarterback known for interceptions to one of the most dominant players in the league. At 40 years old, Favre wasn't done yet. His next move would split fans and lead to one of his best seasons ever. How did he do it? It started with retirement. Well, a few of them actually. In March 2008, after 18 NFL seasons, Favre said he was done. But a few months later, he changed his mind. The Packers had moved on to Aaron Rodgers though, and weren't going back. Favre wanted to play, but Green Bay wouldn't release him. It got messy fast with the longtime face of the franchise suddenly at odds with the team. The Packers ended up trading Favre to the Jets in August 2008. His time there was up and down. Some great games, but also lots of interceptions. After one season, Favre retired again in February 2009, but he just couldn't stay away. Later that year, he made his most controversial move yet, signing with the Vikings, the Packers' biggest rivals. Favre's return to Green Bay as a Viking was intense. He played great and led Minnesota to a win. It was tough for Packers fans to watch their old hero succeed in purple. But Favre's 2009 season with the Vikings really stood out. At 40, he had one of his best years ever. He threw for over 4,000 yards and 33 touchdowns with only 7 interceptions. The Vikings went 12-4 and made it to the NFC Championship game. Pretty amazing for a quarterback some thought was washed up. Favre's late career surge added to his already impressive records. He retired as the all-time leader in passing yards, touchdowns, completions, and quarterback wins. He showed he could still compete at the highest level, even in his 40s. In 2015, Favre came back to Green Bay one last time for his jersey retirement. It was emotional, with Favre thanking the fans who'd stuck by him. From Packer to Jet to Viking and back to Packer, Favre's wild ride captivated football fans for over 20 years. But his impact on the NFL went way beyond just his stats on the field. Brett Favre's journey in the NFL was all about toughness and determination. He showed that with enough grit, you could overcome just about anything on the field. Favre came from a small town in Mississippi and made it all the way to NFL stardom, which is pretty incredible when you think about it. Favre's career had some amazing highs and some tough lows, but through it all, he stayed true to who he was. He played with a passion that got his teammates fired up and made the fans go crazy. To stay updated with our latest content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode.